Hello, Intralingo World Lit podcast listeners. It's Lisa. I'm here today with a little something different. I wanted to offer you a short reading from a novel and an offer. The Island of Missing Trees by Turkish-British author Elif Shafak is, well, the best way I can describe it is stunning, artful, and indispensable. Set in Cyprus during the invasion or the partition, depending on your perspective, and present-day Britain, it presents a story of forbidden love, of migration, and the environmental crisis the world is facing today. And one of the points of view that it's told from is of fig trees. It's just incredible. I'm going to read an excerpt from the prologue that begins the book called Island. Welcome to no man's land. The partition that tore through Cyprus from one end to the other, a buffer zone patrolled by United Nations troops, was about 110 miles long and as wide as 4 miles in places, while merely a few yards in others. It traversed all kinds of landscapes, abandoned villages, coastal hinterlands, wetlands, fallow lands, pine forests, fertile plains, copper mines, and archaeological sites, meandering in its course like the ghost of some ancient river. But it was here, across and around the capital, that it became more visible, tangible, and thus haunting. Nicosia, the only divided capital in the world. It sounded almost a positive thing when described that way, something special about it, if not unique, a sense of defying gravity, like the single grain of sand moving skywards in an hourglass just upended. But in reality, Nicosia was no exception. One more name added to the list of segregated places and separated communities, those consigned to history and those yet to come. At this moment, though, it stood as a peculiarity, the last divided city in Europe, my hometown. There are many things that a border, even one as clear-cut and well-guarded as this, cannot prevent from crossing. The Etesian wind, for instance, the softly named but surprisingly strong meltemi or meltem, the butterflies, grasshoppers, and lizards, the snails, too, painfully slow though they are. Occasionally, a birthday balloon that escapes a child's grip drifts in the sky, strays into the other side, enemy territory. Then the birds, blue herons, black-headed buntings, honey buzzards, yellow wagtails, willow warblers, masked shrikes, and my favorites, golden orioles. All the way from the northern hemisphere, migrating mostly during the night, darkness gathering at the tips of their wings and etching red circles around their eyes. They stop here midway in their long journey before continuing to Africa. The island for them is a resting place, a lacuna in the tail, an in-betweenness. There is a hill in Nicosia where birds of all plumages come to forage and feed. It is thick with overgrown brambles, stinging nettles, and clumps of heather. In the midst of this dense vegetation is an old well with a pulley that creaks at the slightest tug and a metal bucket tied to a rope, frayed and algae covered from disuse. Deep inside it is always pitch black and freezing cold, even in the fierce midday sun beating down directly overhead. The well is a hungry mouth awaiting its next meal. It eats up every ray of light, every trace of heat, holding each mote in its elongated stone throat. If you ever find yourself in the area, and if, led by curiosity or instinct, You lean over the edge and peer down, waiting for your eyes to adjust. You may catch a glint below, like the fleeting gleam from the scales of a fish before it disappears back into the water. Do not let that deceive you, though. There are no fish down there, no snakes, no scorpions, no spiders dangling from silken threads. The glint does not come from a living being, but from an antique pocket watch, 18-karat gold, encased with mother of pearl, engraved with lines from a poem. Arriving there is what you are destined for, but do not hurry the journey at all. And there on the back are 2 letters, or more precisely, the same letter, written twice. Why and why. You know, there's so much in that section. There is a depth of voice, an exquisiteness of style. All of the themes of this novel are wrapped up there, and the story begins. It's brilliant. It's truly brilliant. And here at Intralingo, you know, apart from bringing you conversations with authors and translators from around the world, we're really all about sharing stories live, together, in community. The stories that are in books and the stories of our lives as they intersect with the books that we read. And here's where my offer comes in today. I really wanted to tell you about the Wayfarers 360 experience. It's a new 6-week small group, mindful, wholehearted reading experience. The first session starts February the 5th and it runs through March 12th of 2022. And it really feels particularly welcome as so many of us go through another winter here in the Northern Hemisphere of separation and uncertainty. We'll be reading, you guessed it, The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak. And what's a little bit different this time is that we'll be reading it together at a very leisurely pace, savoring all that this book has to offer. And then at the end of each week, we'll meet live online on a Saturday afternoon for 2 hours to delve deep and share our experience. So when we get together, you know, we might explore setting through our body and senses, might delve into our heart reactions to the story, to the characters. And of course, we're going to examine the themes and the topics and maybe the writing style with our minds. But that's why I say it really is whole body. What I can promise you is that it will be a welcoming, expansive, really deeply held space. It'll be a place where you can be fully you, expressed and appreciated, where we can all open up and deepen our connection to the book, to the other in books, to one another, and to one another in reality. So I'm going to put a link to the registration page in the show notes below. And of course, I will link to this incredible book, The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak. Whether you read it with us or on your own, I really do highly encourage you to pick up this book. It is worth all of your time and energy and attention. So thanks for listening today, for watching today. And, you know, I want to also mention to reach out anytime. I really would love to hear from you. There will be more episodes coming up, conversations with authors and translators, of course, but perhaps I'll do a few more readings and and maybe some conversations with other readers about the books that we're reading. Again, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you'll consider the Wayfarers 360 experience. It would be wonderful to journey with you in this book. And until the next episode, be safe, be well, and be happy. Take care.